may read as far as the Spirit leads. But we speak wisdom, but we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the world unto our glory. Which none of the princes of this world knew. For had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. 9th verse. But as it is written, eyes haven't not seen, nor ears heard, neither have it entered into the hearts of men, the things which God has prepared for them that love him. But God has revealed them unto us by his Spirit. For the Spirit searches all things, yea, the deep things of God. Study with us tonight from these verses. There is a preacher that preaches this passage of this verse. He usually stops at the 9th verse. And it always leaves the people in darkness. He usually quotes this far. Eyes have not seen, nor ears heard, neither have it entered into the hearts of men, the things that God have for them that love him. And it stopped there. And right on down in the 10th verse would open the thing up. And the whole church, which is the body of Christ, would be edified. It said, but God has revealed them unto us. You see, they used to be hid. They used to was kept a secret. But today the mysteries has been made known. You see, right on down in this same chapter, if you would like to study that out, it teaches that the natural man cannot receive spiritual things. For a natural man is carnal-minded. But the spiritual man, or the spiritual mind, they receive spiritual things. For to a natural man, the carnal mind, spiritual things are foolish with the natural man. One of the worst mistakes that any man or any teacher or preacher or prophet or prophetess could ever do is to waste their time trying to show a spiritual, a carnal mind man spiritual things. When you are talking spiritually to a carnal mind, to him you're talking foolish. You often hear people say, I can't see it. Because the spiritual things, they are spiritually designed. It takes a natural eye to see natural things. And it takes a spiritual eye to see spiritual things. I can understand Jesus very well when he told his apostles, blessed are your ears. For many wise men and prophets desire to have heard the things which you hear, but they haven't heard them. And he said, blessed are your eyes. For many wise men and prophets desire to have looked into the things which you see, and they was not permitted to do so. Not only wise men and prophets desire to look, but this gospel is kept secret from the angel. And angel desired to look into it. And the angel asked God, what is man that thou art mindful of him? And the Son of Man that thou visited him. He went on to say that God had set him over all of the works of his hand. But to the angel, he didn't give such power or such dominion. Jeremiah was a good prophet, but Jeremiah never had the gospel that we have. Jeremiah received the credit for being a crying, weeping, moaning prophet. It is he that spoke out against heathenism and broke down, or tried rather, to break down the false god that is called the Christmas tree in the 10th chapter of your book. He could see that it was all idolatry, but he couldn't look into these spiritual things. It was Jeremiah that had the privilege of running through the street of Jerusalem and seeking in the broad place to see if he could find a man that would execute judgment. Perhaps he found that man, but he didn't find this mystery that we're bringing to you tonight. Ezekiel had a spiritual eye, and he could also see Jesus coming, the Spirit in the flesh, and call him a wheel turning in the midst of a big wheel. But after seeing all of his wheels turning, he couldn't see this gospel. You see, it was not in his day. The gospel was prophesied that it would come. But God had ordained them to tell us that it would come. But God didn't ordain them to preach it. He just ordained them to tell us that it would come. But he has ordained us and made me a minister. Not of the old dispensation, but it made me a minister of the New Testament. Ezekiel had a vision. Ezekiel looked off in a vision and saw all of the house of Israel had lost their spirit, had lost their life, and had come down off of the holy mount and was down in the valley. And he called them the dry bones. Ezekiel could prophesy to these bones that they could live again. But Ezekiel couldn't preach this gospel. I don't think you understand me. Joseph was credited for preparing 7 years of corn. Enough corn to last 7 years down in Egypt. He could look 7 years ahead. He could prepare for his father and his brothers. He could feed all of his surroundings. He could look far enough to see when the Lord delivered Israel and bring them up from Egypt. He told them, say, I'm going to die, but the Lord shall surely visit you, and thou shalt carry my bones up from this place. He could look far enough to see he was going to die, and look far enough to see that Moses' name was going to carry his bones, but he couldn't see this mystery. Couldn't see the gospel. Sometime I feel the reason that the Lord gave me this message tonight, because the average Christian today has sat down on the stool of do nothing. They have lost that go-ahead mind. But I bring to them the mysteries. They don't believe it because they can't see it. When I tell them that apostles should be in the church, they can't see that. When I tell them that prophets should still be in the church, they can't see that. When I tell them that God is still a healer and that he healed through man, they can't see that. When I tell them if anybody talk in tongues, there should be some interpreters to interpret the tongue. They can't see that. Why they can't see it? Because they are foolishness to a carnal mind. But they are spiritually discerned. No wonder the Apostle Paul said, if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. Pray with me, please. I could hear Isaiah looking out and saw the airplane as a dove flying to a window. And I could hear Ezekiel looking and seeing the airplane and saw the man that was flying the plane and the wheels beside him. And he said when the living creature went up, the wheels went up beside him. Job saw the submarine. But when it come to the mysteries of God, they couldn't see them. I heard Jesus say, no man know the Father, but him that the Son revealed. And don't no man know the Son, but him that the Father revealed. No one know when he asked his disciples, who do men say that I am? Common men say that thou art John the Baptist. Common men say he was Elijah. Common men say he was Jeremiah. But it was a spiritual-minded man that said, I know who you is. Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. Son of a living God. And I tell you that half of the people in the church are serving God, but they don't know who they serve. Because God hasn't yet showed you who Jesus is. It takes a revelation. They crucified Jesus. Paul said here that if they had known it, they wouldn't have crucified the Lord of glory. Hidden things revealed. You're talking about a telescope. And you're talking about a television. This little magnetic power that man is tied up here, that can show us, you can sit in your home and look at a man wink his eye in New York over the television. Man can be standing in Miami, Florida, and you can sit right in your living room and hear him whisper and see his mouth when he whispers. But you're talking about a real television. Is that spiritual mind that penetrates into heaven. And let me see what's going on in heaven. You talking about a real vision. You talking about a real television. Is a spiritual mind that can see the angels rejoicing around the throne. That's a spiritual mind. You talking about a fluoroscope that a doctor can stand you right up before the fluoroscope and look right into your body. You never seen that, have you? Well, if you want to see a real fluoroscope, you didn't have that iniquity in your hearts. You ought to stand right up to God's X-ray machine. Let God look in your heart and see all of that evil. You talking about an X-ray machine. When God X-ray our hearts and find all of that evil and all of that contentions and all of that jealousy and all of that backbiting and all of that whispering going on in our hearts. You're talking about a telescope. You're talking about a television. You're talking about a telephone. You ought to hear sometime in the midnight hour this telephone ringing in my bosom. My God. A telephone. A television. You're not praying with me. God has opened up everything to us. And the Lord has showed us the prophets is the eyes of God. And I think that we have wasted too much time trying to show carnal-minded people these spiritual things. I think that we should really lead them, and I think we should really pray with them a while. I think we should really try to discuss the things of this world before we try to show them things in heaven. I heard my preacher saying here that eyes haven't seen and ears haven't heard, and neither have it in the hearts of man. Man don't teach it in the seminaries. Man don't know nothing about it in the colleges. Man don't know a thing about it in all of his wisdom. And to the president, they're foolishness. To every lawyer downtown and destroyed spiritual things are foolishness with him. And to every doctor, and to every divinity, and to every great man, spiritual things are foolishness with him. But God has taken away from the wise and revealing in the babes. Hold on. One day, he pulled me out of the bar rooms, and he pulled me out of the back alleys, and I was nothing but a fool. And he didn't show it to the school teachers, he didn't show it to the doctors, but he showed it to me. The Lord showed me, I heard him saying, come unto me, all of you that labor, I'll give you rest. I heard him saying, my God, one day, I didn't know who he was, I didn't know what his name was, I didn't know his dwelling place, but I was praying in heaven, and I was praying to a God, it was above the blue ether, but the Lord showed me where his dwelling place, he dwells in my heart, in my soul. Well, Lord, I don't pray to that God in heaven, I really pray to that God that's in me. That God that's in heaven is the same God that's in my hand, that's in my heart, it's the same God. My God, show me. Show me spiritual things. I heard Jesus standing out one day, made a universal invitation, and said, come. It's too heavy for me. Unto me, all of you that labor, every heavy laden, I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, Lord. We ought to learn about him. Learn that his yoke is easy. Learn his burden is light. Learn.